Season My Hero Academy Russell Drive Manga, anime, news and more Russell Drive.
Hello and welcome to episode 133 of the My Hero Academia podcast. I'm Kendra, and today we have a special guest with us, Lum, podcast extraordinaire from Manga Mavericks, as well as Lum_Squad, which makes me want to read. Is the manga called Lum, or what's it called? The one that Lum Squad's about?
Well, the series is Urusei Yatsura. However, it was called Lum when it was first localized by Wiz back in the late 80s, 90s. They released the series as Lum, and then after going on hiatus for a couple of years, they brought the manga back and they called it The Return of Lum. But now, finally, they are publishing it under the actual title, Urusei Yatsura. And hi! Nice to be on the show.
Thank you for coming on. Sorry, I hated the question right away, but I was like, I see the pictures of Lum, and I'm like, this looks cool. She kicks ass.
She does. She is cool. She is truly one of the most iconic anime characters, and it's a lot of fun.
Yay. And returning, we have Gary with us. Yay.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, glad to have you on. And today we're going to be talking about Chapter 294, Final Performance, answer some questions as well or theories from fans, or people just making fun of me for stuff I said last week in one case. But before that, we're going to jump into the news. And first we'll ask though, Lum, do you read Vigilantes at all?
I do. I really enjoy Vigilantes. And I'm definitely curious about, things going on, this current flashback and stuff.
Because we got a chapter that came out December 11th for that, chapter 91. So we're due for Vigilantes episode, so stay tuned, listeners. We might get one before the end of this year, we'll see. But it definitely is like an interesting flashback. And
these chapters have definitely been great for getting some more Mirko fix. And some more Rappa, which was quite unexpected, but a pleasant surprise.
And also, I couldn't spoil it for people who haven't read Vigilantes, but there's another character as well. And December 19th is going to be the Jump Festa panel, and we learned that it's going to be more of a Bakugo TV Volume 2, where it's going to be Midoriya's voice actor, Daiki Yamashita, and Nobuhiko Okamaru, whose voices Bakugo. And they've done it before where there's talk about cool Bakugo moments. I wonder if they'll talk about the reveal of the hero name.
I wonder, because that's just a recent manga thing, and might be spoilers for the anime.
True. But, I guess they could talk about the previous season or, hint at stuff for the next season. Bakugo's cool. They can find a lot of content.
Yeah. And
there is a KS, which is a shoe company, is collaborating with Funimation. They're making Deku and All Might color-themed shoes. And they're going to be released on December 18th through the Greenhouse app, and December 21st through Foot Locker, but there's only 600 of each. And I was a little disappointed that the Deku one is green, because I get it's his color, but I just want the red shoes. I think there was another shoe company that did Deku shoes, or you could, make the Deku shoes.
Yeah. I mean, where are the actual shoes of the characters in the show? That is a great merchandising idea that I'm surprised not a whole lot of companies actually jump on.
And then the All Might one's, pretty sure it's blue and yellow, but I would also, All Might kind of has those really tight yellow booties. So I would like to rock those in real life.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if they're boots or if they're part of his, onesie costume.
Oh. I mean, you can make them boots regardless.
Yeah. And then we have an author's comment. Horikoshi is celebrating Chainsaw Man, saying, "It was a fresh and revolutionary manga every week. Thank you, Chainsaw Man." Yay. Chainsaw Man had... did you read the last chapter today?
I did. I think that it's ended part 1 quite well. It's kind of hard to imagine what part 2 is going to be, but I mean, there's certainly tons of possibilities you could do with where things are now with Denji.
Yep, and it is almost super. I wonder if Horikoshi's looking at that and be like, I wish I could do some of that stuff. But I know Chainsaw Man's moving to just Jump Plus now.
They should rebrand it as Chainsaw Plus to celebrate Chainsaw Man 2 starting there. Every manga becomes Chainsaw Man.
Nice. And I think, Gary, have you checked out Chainsaw Man at all?
I read the first couple chapters and decided it was not for me.
That's fair. It's very, like,
Mhm.
gory and kind of gross at times.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It goes to places that make you question, wow, this ran in Weekly Shonen Jump? They got away with this in Jump? Which is another reason why, moving to Jump Plus, I can only imagine what Fujimoto is going to be able to get away with now.
Stay tuned, folks. But that's enough for the news. We're going to jump to asking Lum some hard-hitting questions about My Hero.
Oh boy. I think I can take the punches.
Yay. But I'll start us off. When or how did you first get introduced into My Hero?
I leaned onto My Hero pretty early on. So I was aware of Koei Horikoshi because of his previous series Barrage. I am a fan of the Weekly Manga Recap podcast, and they turned me on to Barrage as like a short-lived series that was really, really good. And so that left an impression on me, their conversation of that series. And so I was aware when My Hero Academia started that, hey, this is the Barrage guy coming back for another series. And that perked my interest, and I kept my eyes and ears out for more buzz about it. And it got buzz pretty early on. People were noticing, hey, this is doing really well with Japanese readers in the table of contents and rankings. But early on, it took a while for a lot of chapters to come out, scan-lated even. The series started in July 2014, and I had previously been blogging basically all my thoughts on every manga I was reading weekly on the Animation Revelation forums. And so revisiting those, I can see that I first started reading this series when there were about 3 chapters available, and this was in October 2014. So it took a while for those fan translations to really get going.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I can refer to my past self here for what my initial impressions were.
Mm-hmm.
And this is my past self speaking here. So let's go back to October 22nd, 2014.
Time travel.
Ooh. A manga about traditional superheroes running in Jump, no less? Unusual. The series doesn't do anything I haven't seen before with these first few chapters, but it does make me interested in the premise, the world, and the main character. Depending on how things are executed, this could end up being a very good battle shonen series and refreshing from the norm of spirit hunters and traveling adventurers. Considering the series has become another overnight success for Jump alongside Hinamara Sumo, this could very well become the next big thing, where it has the potential to rival the popularity reached by something like Naruto or even achieve a Titan level success seems uncertain to me as of now. But the series is still young. I'll be interested in seeing how it grows and whether or not it meets its potential. And so now back in the present, I think I was on the mark in terms of believing in the series' potential. And yeah, I basically followed the series from there. And of course, in February 2015 is when it got added to the official digital Shonen Jump. And so I, continued keeping up with the official release. And, here we are. I've been basically keeping up the series since since nearly the beginning of where it started in terms of when an English reader could begin reading it as someone who doesn't read Japanese and couldn't read the official Japanese release. So, yeah, I have been with My Hero since pretty early on, I think. And I think what hooked me in, is just the emotional core of All Might believing in Deku, the, of course, tear-jerking kind of moment of you can be hero, and then just Deku's journey of just building himself up both in confidence and strength to meet the potential that All Might believed he could reach. And I think the sports festival arc was this huge emotional kind of culmination of Deku proving that in his matches, with Todoroki in particular. And then from there, I thought the series just truly topped itself into something truly special with the internship arc after that and the conflict with Stain and just the moment of Todoroki, Ida, Deku all coming together to take down Stain and just the direction that arc went and then the impact it left on the series in terms of like it Stain as a character going down inspired like the entire rest of the League of Villains to come out and raise all these questions about this precarious state of hero society.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just emotionally I got super invested in characters, and then the broader themes and ideas the story was working with in terms of a commentary on this world where people have superpowers and just examining a system of regulated superheroes. Like that was very interesting to me.
And
so, yeah.
It's cool that for like the sports festival, it was kind of Deku kind of realizing what kind of hero Deku wanted to be, because like him against Todoroki was kind of him like not really doing like All Might maybe would have wanted him to try to just beat Todoroki, or that's what he might have thought. Deku thought he was like maybe disappointing him, but All Might's like that's like heroes like save people, like different ways of saving people.
Yeah, and Deku did that. He reached out to Todoroki and helped Todoroki realize, to embrace who he is, like not just shun the part of him he inherited from his father. And he got Todoroki to use boat and embrace boat. And that, I just love that selflessness. That Deku, through that fight, he wanted to help Todoroki.
Mm-hmm. But speaking of characters...
Who is your favorite character?
This is a question that I think I could answer differently at different times. I feel like I do have a fondness for Todoroki as a character who really fascinated me, interested me upon its introduction. And I think that everything explored with the very complicated relationship with Todoroki and Endeavor is really fascinating to me. And I think the characters most involved in that conflict, Todoroki, Endeavor, and then tangentially Hawks is related to this situation. I think, those characters are really fascinating relationships between all of them. And then add Dabi into that too. Dabi, only recently, but like now having recontextualized Dabi's actions throughout the entire manga, like I'm super into Dabi right now too, and what he's accomplished.
Oh yeah, I have. There's a email or like a message from a fan later on in this episode. I think I'd be interested to hear your take on it. But if you were to have a quirk, what would you have? It could be a quirk that exists in series, or it could be something you've just thought up.
Well, for a quirk that exists in series, Yaoyorozu's quirk to basically create anything just from her body thought, it sounds incredibly useful. Mm-hmm. And so that would be a great ability to have, I think. But for me, my biggest problem is one of time, I think. Time management, wanting to have time to do so many things. So honestly, I would want to have a quirk that's similar to like a JoJo's villainess power of stopping time, delaying time, going back in time. Anything just to keep the progress of time inching forward.
It would be nice, like maybe you could stop time, but you can't. Like you could, let's say you couldn't move from the position you're in. So let's say like you were writing, you'd have to stay doing that.
Oh my god, that would be so helpful to prevent procrastination.
Yeah.
Ability where time stops to allow you to finish the tasks you set out to do. Yes, that is perfect. Oh my gosh.
It might make you procrastinate even worse, though.
Oh. But the goal is like you can't like undo the power until you finish the task. Like, I mean, that just forces you to, hey, you gotta get this done eventually. You can't delay this forever.
You could be anti-procrastinator, or just like, or what's the reverse of procrastination?
Anti-crastinating.
Productive?
Yes! Productivity! Like your gravity.
Okay, so which arc has been your favorite so far?
I think in terms of just the experience of reading it as it was going week to week, I feel like it is that stretch of the series of the sports festival arc to the internship arc. I think the internship arc in particular, I think the moment where Ida and Todoroki and Deku took down Stain, chapter 54, Re and Genuine, you could tell that's my favorite chapter because I remember the number and title. Like, that was just such a high point for me just so early on. So I always think back to that as like, that was like a moment where I knew MHA was like a super special series for me. And yeah, I mean, I think I would return to that, but I feel like MHA has continued to be really good. There's so many arcs since then that have been so strong. But yeah, I have to go back to that arc, I think, as my favorite.
Nice. And Stain is like, it's really short as well, right?
Yeah, it is. It's a short arc, but it's has leaves such an impact. It has such great character development for the 3 UA students principally involved in it. And again, Stain leaves such an impact on the world of My Hero in terms of, again, inspiring the villains. Essentially, he leads the League of Villains to be created because they're all inspired to like, hey, yeah, let's take up arms against this false hero society. And so they get Shigaraki's way. So
yeah, and it's kind of interesting. It's after a really longer arc of a sports festival. It's kind of basically the Olympics. I think they even say that in series that it's kind of replaced the Olympics in terms of popularity. And then you have the like kind of the other side of heroes of what, like how people don't like them and what's bad about it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it really complicates the world in a fascinating way. And yeah, that's what I really appreciate about it.
Nice. And I was wondering, do you have any theories or specifically trader theories?
I think there is no traitor. I feel like the idea of the traitor is just a mishearing. I think that a reveal about the traitor theory would be like everyone would go insane just thinking, oh, there was a traitor Artemis and that's why everything has gone awry. And then eventually it's revealed, no, this was just an idea planted by a villain or just someone to sow distrust within the ranks of the heroes, the Hero Association. But there was never truly a traitor. It was just a false rumor circulated to sow distrust. I think that would be an interesting direction to take it.
I do wonder, because, like, they found the training camp, but that could be something else, possibly, if there was, like, there's a tracking chip or that was completely uninvolved with the students or anything, but...
Yeah, I think so. I think, like, they could just have some covert surveillance stuff, and it's not necessarily a person who willingly, at least, is responsible for leaking those secrets. I think it could be also something totally inadvertent. That the villains have been exploiting someone just to get information about UA and about what the heroes are doing.
I've definitely been more, there has to be a traitor, but I'm starting to lean towards that maybe more just as the lack of focus on it makes me be like, I think, Gary, was yours that maybe it was all for one or one for all spying on Deku through the quirk, basically?
Oh.
Yeah. That's one of my many theories, yeah.
Yes.
That's a really good one.
Especially now when we know that a bit of personality is in quirks. So if he put the quirk in his brother, or one of the quirks, if a bit of him went with it or something.
Yeah, and we can see that they can interact in the same mind space, the inheritors of One for All and All for One. Like Deku and Shigaraki were that same like realm together. We're then All for One, and then the previous inheritors of One for All were all there too. And it's like, yeah, there's a connection between those quirks. I could definitely see All for One exploiting that to inadvertently spy on the world of heroes through Deku's eyes.
And also, it's a very much like All for One really likes to mess with people. So your idea of him creating a false sense of a traitor to like cause friction is that is very him. he is an asshole.
Yeah.
All for one, because it starts with an A for asshole. That's
Yes. Oh my gosh, that is so helpful. I think I will keep that in mind from now on.
Breaking My Hero journalism here with mnemonic devices. But let's keep going.
And then remember one for all, because O for okay.
Yes! I like it.
Okay, so last question here. Is there anything you'd like to see happen in the future of the story?
Well, I guess we'll get to this with the current chapter we're going to discuss, but right now, truthfully, I want Shigaraki to get away from this. I want a lot of the league currently to get away from the heroes, because I think the heroes really need to lose this outright in a way. Like, I feel like with the direction of the story, like the heroes already have really lost a lot, not just in terms of people have died, but also Gigantomachia just wrecked entire cities, and this whole reveals about Endeavor's abusive behavior towards his family, and all of this stuff. Like, public distrust in heroes is at an all-time high, but I think a kick in the pants to really seal the deal would be if they just totally fail to capture the league. And so all of this effort that they put in has all been for basically naught, because the main threat they were trying to neutralize got away anyway. And I think the series needs just this low point right now, just to motivate our, young heroes, Deku and the rest of Class 1A and UA, to change people's minds as they mature into full-fledged professional heroes, to recapture the public's trust. Mm-hmm. And I think that is a challenge that would be really interesting to see them do. When the entire public sentiment is turned against heroes, when the mistrust against heroes is all-time high, how they continue to persevere to still do what's right and to still be great heroes and protect people. I would really like to see the heroes lose this, because I think that would make their comeback and their ultimate victory all the more satisfying, I think.
And kind of taking that idea of like Deku being what kind of hero he wants to be, as well as the rest of the class, and then kind of like showing that to the world, and maybe the world like changing their mind, like how, I don't know. I like that idea. It's I think we talked about it, and it's just like building on it, and I'm like, oh, I don't know. I love it. Horikoshi, listen to us, but not really. Horikoshi can do whatever the hell they want.
Mm-hmm. But honestly, speaking of the world, that's also what I'd like to see next. The series expand outside Japan, and we see heroes in other countries. We explore the entire world and how heroes and the hero system operates there. I think that would be quite interesting to see.
Mm-hmm. I'd like a European Union heroes or something. Like, yeah. Like, there's a Hero Association. I don't even know if that's what they're called. I might be thinking of One Punch Man. But, like, is that worldwide or is that just Japan?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, because you also have to think, hey, if every country has, like, superpowered heroes, that might strain tensions on them even further. So, I mean, that gets into, like, how the politics of this world operate. But I would like to see Horikoshi kind of explore that minefield.
Mm-hmm. But maybe we'll he's not quite going into that yet, but let's check out the chapter.
Yeah. I'll begin my performance of reading out this chapter by discussing chapter number 294, Final Performance. And our very first panel is sadly of our dearly departed favorite character ever, Crust. Who gives a great thumbs up against the background. But this entire first page is just showing the state of the heroes have fallen. We're seeing that they're all basically being taken care of, being treated to. We see Aizawa, Mirko. We see some heroes that are still active, like Mantle and Rocklock. They're still moving places, doing stuff. We see Gran Torino and Ryukyu are also down for the count being treated. Hawk's down for the count being treated. It looks like President Mike's going somewhere still in the fight, though. But, yeah, the commentary on this page, though, is that, the fact that the sedative took effect is not coincidence. It's basically Best Genius giving this narration that, even though so many people have fallen, like, the cumulative effort of bringing down Gigantomachia and the League has been because of the efforts of all these people.
Mm-hmm.
And we continue to see on the next page more fallen people, including Mount Lady and then Endeavor, who looks basically passed out here. I think
and
maybe
Midnight.
from shock.
I just noticed Midnight was there.
Yeah, I was wondering when I first read this who this was, but now that I see her mask is in the foreground, now it all comes together. And yeah, her hairstyle and what we can identify her clothing and matches. Yeah. And we see Deku is also like kind of recoiling back, falling to the ground, and that's all we really see of Deku in this chapter, I think. So yeah, like he might be a little taken aback, out of condition right now. But yeah, Best Genius is really trying his hardest here. It's like his nose is bleeding. It's over into his jeans over his mouth as he's like wrapping up Gigantomachia with a great big bang effect. And while this is happening, we're also seeing some of Best Genius's treads head Dobby's way as Todoroki is fighting him. And we're also seeing that Mirio is fighting some Nomus and gives a great big punch on one, but it doesn't really push it back. He does push the Nomu back, but the Nomu's still standing. It really takes it. And so Mirio comments, wow, no wonder the heroes are having a rough time, because while these Nomu make simple moves, they're super strong and super fast. And so we see the Nomu he's fighting like just tear up the ground around Mirio as he and Ida are fighting it. And Mirio's like warning everyone, yo, these Nomus are like as strong as the Nomu Kyosha. You don't want to take a hit from these guys. And I just love that Ida addresses Bakugo by his new hero name without a second thought. Nothing super ID. He just calls it Great Explosion Murder God Dynamite. He just takes it completely serious.
And it's something, I thought he was listing people at first, but it's just all one name.
Just Bakugo's hero name. Ida has just fully embraced it and just warning Bakugo not to take a hit. And Bakugo's like, he can't even make an annoyed, angry Starkey come back. He knows that Ida is right. So he just yells, "Gah!" as he continues to fight on. And we see that Nejire is just also in the fight, and she's thinking, yo, we gotta just keep these Nomus off Best Genius's back. And Best Genius is thinking to himself, okay, now that I don't have to worry about this because these other guys are taking care of it, I can redirect the resources I was spending on restraining the giant, because now Giant Dragon is also, neutralized because of the sedative, towards the villains. So he starts binding the League of Villains as we go on and see just this big panel of Mr. Compress with his mask. And I love, obviously, Mr. Compress is wearing this mask, so we can't see his expression, but I just love how this Horikoshi speed lines, and even applying it to the sound effects, it does give a sense of that intensity of we're getting a sense of that, the strength and the painful strength of that binding that this genius is doing on him there. And Compress is thinking to himself, the binding prevents him from touching the cables, and obviously if he can't touch things with his hands, he can't use his compressed work. So he's just lamenting, all I can do is tickle my own behind, and Shigaraki is fair and no better.
I think it's Spinner speaking here, and he says, you summoned us...
No, it's Compress still.
Oh, is it all this? Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll believe you. Okay, so it says, you summoned us together, did you not? Told us to run amok, right? What are we supposed to think when even your act is cut short? This amounted to a trap. You still haven't destroyed a darn thing yet. It's just as our... Oh, that was Spinner.
Yeah.
It's just as our associate Spinner says. Dabi, young Toga and I have yet to achieve our dreams. And we get like little shots of Dabi, Toga, and Compress. Nothing too
Yeah,
exciting. going on.
Dobby's being pelted by Best Jeanus's treads. He's trying to fend them off. We're seeing them burn, but like he's still taking some hits there. They're getting through. And meanwhile, Toga is running through an alleyway, presumably back to regroup with everyone. But she's shedding some tears. I think
that's what I was wondering if she was crying.
Yeah, it was probably after that encounter with Ochiko.
Yeah.
Where she realized they're not actually friends, pretty much.
Yeah.
Oh, Toga.
Okay, so we're gonna get to my favorite part of this chapter.
Yeah.
So, Compress, Shigaraki, and Spinner are all tied up and with an irk from Best Jeanist. And Blackout Bind is the name of the move. And Compress is saying, "Does our show end here? Spinner! I loved the league." And we see a picture of Spinner. Well, we have two of them. Being strangled.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Because at first I didn't realize that it was Best Jeanist. I was like, what is Blackout Bind? But it's tightening on them.
Yeah, and I have to say, I don't know if I really approve of Best Jeanist tightening their necks, choking them out to make them black out.
Yeah.
I think that is a use of kind of lethal force that I don't know if a professional hero should be doing, even in this situation. So like seeing these panels of like, especially Spinner's like expression, like he's tearing up, his eyes are bulging, and he's like gasping for air. It's kind of uncomfortable. I have to say.
Yeah, they're in combat, but I think you're right. And also the I loved the league is in a heart bubble.
Yeah.
So moving on, a collection of warped minds who never bothered prying into each other's past. Just a band of egotists. Again, talking about the league, which is kind of interesting because, like, backstory-wise, we really didn't know much about them until more recently, including Shigaraki. So it's kind of interesting from a storytelling standpoint too that they didn't know each other's backgrounds either. So that's kind of cool. So then, Tomura is the key. The timing must be right. When the heroes are a bit farther and the Nomu are in optimal position, I shall buy you 5 seconds during which to rouse the boss. And so we see his side, like you said, he could only tickle his own behind.
I think he touches his butt, and then he touches his side, or maybe it's a bit of
It
both.
looks like he takes a chunk out of his torso there. I think it's like probably the area where one of his kidneys would be. So
yeah, it's like a pocket is what we're seeing, it looks like. So every decent performance requires a good assistant. My dream, my blood-bound duty, the reason I'm here. Gouging out my own flesh gives my arm room to maneuver, and free use of my arm means I can do this. And so he's able to basically unbind Spinner and Shigaraki by putting them in the compress balls. And
Pikachu, return!
And he's free from his bonds too, of course.
Just before they fainted. Very responsible trainer, Mr. Compresses.
Oh, true!
So then, don't believe for a single moment that you're the only ones giving your lives a cause. Well, ready for a taste of prime entertainment? And we see a shot of Mirio looking on as things are happening. He's bouncing around on the rocks.
On Gigantomachi's back, I think.
Oh, that's what that is.
Yeah,
yeah, you're right.
Yeah, Mystic Empress really distracts pretty much all the heroes fighting the Nomu there, because we see that also Ida and Nedre are also looking his way. So it's like, everyone's wondering, what is he doing?
So then we get Best Jeanist reacting, saying, maiming his own body, really? Nevertheless, that wound is fatal. You have no hope of escaping. And Compress says, bound by my own clothing, however, bound or not, so as long as my hand is in position. And then he grabs again and pulls his clothes off, basically. Because Best Genius was binding him. That's kind of, he was using his clothes against him.
The world's unsexiest striptease.
Then he says, I can make quick work of this. And Skeptic says, you, over here, you're running right. Or you're running, right? Free me too, then. And, like, he does. Like, it would have been funnier if you just, like, left him. So, daring escapes and deception are my forte, which means I'm the man who'll save our team from certain doom.
And then he's thinking to himself, O.G. Harima, the peerless thief, a criminal from days gone by, as he's, like, coughing up, like, so much blood.
It's spilling out of him.
Yeah. Just when the current system began settling into place, Harima targeted the fattened pockets of sham heroes. He preached reformation while returning what he pilfered back to the street. So, Robin Hood. And all the money around him. And just, if you think about it, or I guess we're about to get the reveal, but so maybe I'll talk about it in a sec. But or also, if you're listening to this, like, live, what are you doing as you're reading? So I'll save it, but I like his arm bracelets. It says, listen, Atsuhiro, our family lineage is all about exposing injustice. That righteous blood runs in our veins. And so I definitely think being able to, like, pocket stuff is really good quirk for a villain. Or, like, for stealing, for a thief.
Yeah. Super clever, too. Because, yeah, he literally, like, pockets what he steals.
He's
like,
very tricky.
Yeah.
And then we go back to the Todoroki fight, and we get Flash Fist as Todoroki just screaming, Toya! And Toya says, sorry about this, Shoto. Change of plans. Jet burn! Are they calling out their moves as they do it? Maybe. Like, heroes have alternate moves. Do villains as well?
They should.
That is a very pretty panel as the fire goes down and Todoroki is, like, out of it. And Toya continues, NG Todoroki isn't completely broken yet. If he passes out now, there's no point in going on with this little performance. Sorry, masterpiece. And Compress, I'm saying Mr. Contact, says, to me, Dabby, and for once in his life, Dabby listens. And he thinks, Compress thinking to himself, Harima, the reformation that you could not achieve, I now hand it off to my boss. And we see Dabby get ballified, compressed, and he yells out, I am Harima's great-great-grandson! And I'm glad he clarified, because I was like, is he him? Because I didn't really know. We knew it was a long time ago. And the Paranormal Liberation Front. No, the League of Villains Shigaraki. I'm glad he didn't call them their silly name.
Yeah. I mean, in their hearts, like, they are still the League of Villains.
Yeah.
You know?
The Bandit King's blood flows through me! And I wonder if this is getting broadcast or not. I don't know. Probably there might be a helicopter nearby, but it's probably not picking up words. Oh, it depends. It depends if Fringe Man is live streaming or not. Because he has his iPad, and he's thinking that Shigaraki will change the world in my stead. And he throws off his mask. What's that, you say? You barely noticed me? All part of the act. It's all for that ta-da moment. And he kind of, like, I don't know, also, there is, like, people do weird things with their hands whenever they do big reveals. Like, when Dobby did his, like, nya, as he revealed who he was Toya. For some reason, he's, like, has his hand over his head, arm up, but he's just like, that the true trick is saved till the end. And we get the reveal! I was right! Mr. Compress is hot!
Very, very handsome face.
Yes. Too hot to live. Okay, but then you look down by his mechanical hand and you see that whole chunk missing. He's not long for this world, potentially.
It reminds me of Death Becomes Her.
Oh, yeah. And then I guess he's kind of doing that pose because then he kind of turns it into a bow / releasing Spinner and Shigaraki. I do wonder if he's maybe doing a bit of the trick where he's like switching the balls, like maybe Dabi is like hidden somewhere. Like he's like, Dabi's not helpful right now. He's very, he is helpful. He's like taking care of a hero. And he says, voila! The curtain rises on the first and final escape artist performance of Mr. Compress. And we get a shot of Shigaraki, who might be waking up. We don't know.
Yeah. And we see that Mirio is also charging to the scene to engage them in the fight.
You're right. Ooh, Mirio is good against people who need to do contact to do their stuff. Even quirkless, but now he has his quirk. Ooh, I would like a Spinner versus Mirio fight just because it would be, like, sad. Because I love Spinner, and I just feel bad if he gets his ass kicked.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Spinner, has Spinner had a really big moment in this arc? Maybe he is due for one, just like Compress has had, and Dabi, and Toga, and everyone.
He got basically Shigaraki to say destroy to get Machia going again. But I wonder if he will get a moment, or it's kind of like he's talked about being like kind of empty, like he doesn't have a dream like the others. So will that be his failing, or will it be that he finds a dream here? Who knows? But let's maybe jump back a bit. Lum, what was your thoughts on the chapter?
This was a really good chapter. I think the theory that Compress was a descendant of Harima has been a theory that's gone around a lot. And so it's kind of nice to see, just like the whole theory of Dabi being Endeavor's son, this is another big payoff for like a reveal that people have been speculating for a long time. And it makes a whole lot of sense, I think, when you consider Compress's skill set and what we knew about Harima. I mean, we kind of learned most about Harima in this chapter. Mm-hmm. Like before, he was just kind of mentioned among a lot of people that Gentle Criminal admired as like villains that had left an impact on history. Mm. But it is really interesting and cool to see that, you know, Compress was indeed a descendant of Harima, and that's also another reason why I hope that he does live through this, because I think there's more to explore there.
Mm-hmm. I never knew people theorized that. Was it purely because of his quirk? Because it's good for stealing stuff, or was there like more basis to it?
That and some other details about the character from his introduction and then connections to the very little we knew about Harima. I've seen several people throw out this theory. I feel like Caleb at some point mentioned it too. But yeah, like...
And just a few chapters ago, Compress commented, like, another person with, like...
that's another detail that made people think, does he have that lineage as well to someone very important? So, yeah.
I guess another factor toward it, too, is that he's so heavily disguised.
Oh, yeah. So he's hiding something.
Yeah. I mean, it was satisfying face reveal finally after over 200 chapters when we first were introduced with him. We finally get to see his face, and he is super handsome.
I never thought we'd see him, like, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I want to look up Mr. Compress's real name, because his last name wasn't, like, Harima or anything, was it? No, it was actually Hirosako.
His name is, and I don't know if I remember quite the reveal of what his real name was. I feel like this isn't the first time, though. No. I think maybe, I feel like
it was at when they did the raid that, oh my god, Gran Torino said a bunch of their names. So I wonder if this hero association knew, or maybe like the family kept it secret that they were related to like such a famous villain.
I wonder, yeah.
But any other thoughts on the chapter?
I am just, again, excited to see where this goes. I mean, the plan was to buy time for Shigaraki to reawaken, so we'll see if he has indeed, with, Compress reshifting them, like if Shigaraki awakening he's back in action, but I have to wonder like what he's going to do. Like waking up Shigaraki, like how are they going to get away now? Like what is Shigaraki going to do to get his team away from this?
Mhm.
That is a question I'm wondering. And potentially going back to Spinner, if this isn't enough to finally rouse Shigaraki, I wonder if Spinner's moment is going to come, like with the other League of Villain characters in this arc, where he has like his big moment, and that is the final push that Shigaraki needs to awaken, and then that helps the entire League get away somehow. But I am curious to see how the League gets away, but kind of like I mentioned earlier, I really hope they do to fight on another day. Both because, I think it's narratively a good choice for the heroes to lose this outright. But also, Shigaraki did not achieve his full potential when he was in that Saiyan type regeneration chamber. Like he got broke up prematurely, so there's more potential for him to keep on to come back as an even stronger threat in the future.
Gary, what are your thoughts?
Kind of continuing on that last thought of if Spinner gets a moment to shine in the next chapter or two, because he's pretty much the only conscious League member at this point. Other than Toga, but she's MIA, and Dabi, I guess, is around. Let's say that Gigantamachi wakes up and starts walking around, then Spinner is at a distinct advantage because he can like cling to surfaces that are like a gecko. So I don't know. I'm grasping at straws here so we can get something exciting here. But yeah, I'd like to see what Mirio can do, because even after we have the Mirio reveal in 2 chapters ago, and then in the last chapter, it's like, okay, he's here and there's a lot going on, but what really can he do other than like punch stuff? You know what I mean? But I mean, he can go for people's insides. We've seen him do that.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So so I'm excited too. Really sad that we got. I've liked Mr. Compress for a long time. He's been my favorite League member, and it was kind of like an Ida situation where we just have had basically nothing to go on for so long to give us any reason to still like him, because he hadn't done much. So I don't want to say too little too late, but I just wish there was a little more. But I really liked this chapter for that reason. And of course, now everyone's going to love him because we see what he looks like.
Yes, I don't care. I am shallow. I loved him before, but him being hot makes him love you more. But he also, like, I do wish we definitely had seen more of him. But he definitely had, like, that personality of kind of a bit more, like, showman-y, a bit more straight-laced. I feel like him and Kurogiri were like, we are the only ones here who are sane!
Yeah. And, like, his whole, like, oh, I'm far too old for you, like his toga and stuff like that. Like, he doesn't look that old, but too, which is old in shonen years.
Yeah. I wonder. I feel like he's almost 30.
I would guess 30.
Yeah, he's probably in his 20s, but man, manga is like, oh, if you're over 30, you're too old.
Yeah.
Who knows? He could be like 35 or
maybe.
I can't age just from that. Like, we just get like one panel of him, really.
Another interesting thing is apparently he shaves his armpits, so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I feel
nobody...
like every character in the series does. Horikoshi, too cowardly to draw characters with armpit hair. Give us big, beefy, hairy boys, Horikoshi!
Rico the Cowboy! Yeah, he needs Chap. Maybe he compresses each individual hair.
Oh my gosh.
Shave!
Oh my gosh. That would be such a convenient power to have to get rid of body hair. Oh my god.
And also, like, grocery shopping, you wouldn't have to carry all heavy groceries. You just go, like... does he have a limit on how many, like, compresses he... Well, we'll never know. But, sorry, Gary, did you have... I love Mr. Compress. His quirk is so cool.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my god. To talk about the practicality of his quirk, I mean, I spent the entire last week moving heavy boxes from my house. Oh my god, Mr. Compress, you would have made a killing if you had run a professional mover's business. It's been so easy for you.
But then
technically,
Yeah, I think Gary's mentioning it too, that like there is the limitation on people's quirks that you can't use it like that. But I guess that's what I wonder is like there has to be some kind of licensing for it, but it doesn't seem like there is. But it's a good idea. Like if maybe he wouldn't have turned it to crime, but he still wanted to like change. Like his family kind of like was raising him, telling him that, kind of continuing the tradition.
Yeah.
But sorry, it's a cute thought.
Yeah.
Gary, any other thoughts for the chapter?
Just that Spinner reminds me of Poggers in the.
Yes, it's definitely like, but it's also sad because he is like
being strangled.
Strangled.
But he's not trying to kill him though. I'm trying to be positive about it. Oh yeah.
It's because like I think you're probably right that it is just to get them to choke them out, basically.
Right.
It's just such a brutal and kind of cruel way to do that. Is like choke someone to knock them out,
especially for Shigaraki. But Shigaraki's already.
I mean, Shigaraki though is already out of it, so
even over Shigaraki's eyes. But I just want to go back to like the first panel. I really like the Crust panel because, or wait, not Crust. Is he Crust? What's his name?
Yeah, it's Crust. It was the hero who died.
It's
who was one of the
very
top
All Might pose.
Yeah.
It makes you think of that. And also for Eraserhead, I thought they were just holding an ice pack to his face, and I was like, that is useless. And I do wish we'd gotten like a bit more of. We do get the panel of Machia down, but I like almost wish they'd hammered on that a little bit more. But the end of last chapter was really good already.
I want to add one quick thing to when we're seeing the heroes down, like with Mount Lady, with all like the trees and stuff like stuck in her body.
Oh yeah.
Very wild.
Yeah. And like we still get a butt shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not. I mean, it's not like 2 sticks in her butt there.
3
sticks up her butt. Yeah, it's 3.
And the midnight panel, makes me sad. Like, I really genuinely worry she's dead.
I think she'll pull through, but I mean, this really goes ashore these first 2 pages. Like, a lot of people are taking a real bad beating here.
But we do get confirmation Gran Torino is alive because they have him on oxygen. So we still have that. Mirio fighting the Nomu is cool. I think it is a good thing of kind of covering kind of 2 different stuff and then focusing in on the Compress stuff because I think they kind of underestimated Compress. They like didn't realize how much he could move, and I really love that the villains again, like the Overhaul arc with the ones that I think Sun Eater fought, that they like do like value friendship. Maybe not Dabi, but like Compress really does care about the League a lot. Which I think is really cool. I'm in love with that big Compress panel because I feel like he's like smiling. I think he's probably like exerting himself, but I feel like inside he's like, "Ha! Didn't think of me, did ya?" Which makes me just very happy. And the butt scratching is really, really funny. And at first I thought he just like compressed his butt and that's how he got free. And so when Genus was like, "Oh no, you're gonna die," I was like, he just like got rid of his own butt. He'll live. He didn't have much of a butt anyways. But he definitely got rid of like a whole side. Like probably his kid.
You know, that'd be interesting though. If he has compressed that area of his body, that part of his flesh, potentially if he could uncompress that, could there be some surgery that could help him live through this? Like that could potentially, maybe that's a possibility.
I was going to say they could just like bring Eri on the scene and be like, "You have been deemed too hot to die." And
but the sad thing is Eri already like her horn's gone small, so I don't think she can.
Oh, okay.
But do it just for him. Keep him on ice. Stuff him with ice packs. The reveal of him being like related to that dude doesn't hit me as hard because I just don't care. Like, it's nice that he has a dream, but we haven't really seen that for how he's been acting at all. Like, he didn't really seem like going off about sham heroes, which I guess is good because it would have been like maybe a bit too close to Stain. And also, I'm not curious if he because Fringe is still out there, and so I wonder what he's going to do.
I just want to add quick before you move on, but that we don't really know much about that thief guy. Like maybe if we knew a little bit more about him, other than just like seeing his name in Image a while back, like that would have had more of an impact. But it's still kind of cool that we got a call back.
Yeah, I mean, it's like stuff that the fandom has been saying about, but in series, like it has not. The character of O.G. Harem has not been brought up that much. Gentle Criminal was the first person to talk about him, and then since then, he hasn't been brought up a whole lot in the past 100 or so chapters. So I think, there could have been more seeds connecting these two together. I mean, we did talk about a few, but maybe a little more blatant stuff to really push it out there.
It is interesting when he compresses Shigaraki and Spinner. Like, Shigaraki looks a lot like Eraserhead when he's when it's all white. Kind of does. That's on on page 10. The hair, at least, because it's down. I don't know. And I do realize for compress that, like, since he's missed the arm that he's missing can't do the compress, that we learned that it has to be his hands that touch it. It is interesting that it doesn't have to be direct. Oh, I remember I was thinking that people were theorizing last week that compress might compress himself to get out of the ropes. They were kind of right.
Partially.
If he compressed all of himself, I don't think he'd be able to get out. But
that's an interesting conundrum.
But I don't know. I really like Compress getting a chance to shine. It really makes me happy. I do hope we get something with Spinner, but I do like that Spinner is a little bit ordinary. I guess I don't really care about the Todoroki versus Dabi fight. They're just like throwing fire at each other. And I'm
it was just like a DBZ kind of energy blast with fire. Like literally they're in midair shooting fire beams at each other.
It's still like very cool, and I'm sure it'll be animated gorgeously, and Horikoshi draws Flame like a boss.
Yeah. I think that's done for now because it looks like both Endeavor and Todoroki are knocked out. So I think that's going to be put on hold, and then down the line we'll have a big fiery blazing rematch.
And I do like that he kind of does like the final bow, and I think he released Shigaraki and Spinner because remember Shigaraki was like arguing with one because All for One wanted him to run and Shigaraki didn't want to. So I wonder if he's like putting him out again because he's like, let's keep fighting, but he kept Dabi in. So I do wonder if maybe he is planning on running. Because I don't know if maybe Shigaraki will awaken Gigantomachi again, or if he'll like erase everybody. Like I wonder. Like I don't know. It's where do you go from here? How do they get away safely? Because I kind of hope they do. Because I really like the idea of kind of like them, like the world kind of flipping because of what happened here. I just don't see how, unless like. Do they have any? Oh, but the Redestro's people got invaded as well, so they can't be like, we're gonna come in and save you. All I know is that I don't want the hot guy to die. And Mirio running in worries me. He can fight Spinner, and Spinner can be like, no, not today, and just like run and like book it. But the ending on Shigaraki's face is like, But overall, really good chapter. I think I read this, maybe this was one of the last chapters I read, and this hyped me up so much, where I was like, yeah! It's very cool. I don't know. It's his goodbye to the League, kind of, if Compress, because he's probably dying here. But,
And I was going to say, too, that's probably why he released them right away, is because, like, he can't do it if he's dead, so...
Oh, true. Or I wonder if it'd be automatic if he was dead.
Well, I guess he wouldn't really know, would he? So just in case. It'd be funny if he had like compact balls like in the lair or something that he never released, and then when he dies, they all just like randomly open, and there's like elephants and like random things in there.
That'd be a good attack.
That would be pretty insane, yeah.
Compress Machi and then throw him at somebody. Just use him as dead weight.
Yeah. I wonder if releasing Shigaraki and Spinner, here is kind of like a misdirect, and there's something else he has balled up that he's releasing in secret that's going to help them escape.
Ooh.
But yeah, I mean, we also see that he's just released Shigaraki and Spinner, but we saw him compress Dobby and Skeptic too. So if the plan is to release them all before he passes away, like when is he going to release them? I wonder.
Yeah, and also, like, them getting away, he could have a plane or, like, a motorcycle and a ball. We don't know what his limits are.
Yeah.
We've seen him do a whole person, well, several times. Rocks, fire, I think, as well, maybe. So he could compress, like, motorbikes, and we could go Dr. Stone and run away with those. Sorry, spoilers. But overall, really good chapter, face reveal. I don't know. I think it's interesting that he is doing a lot of like fan theory. People think like people's fan theories are coming to fruition, but I think it's in a good way. And it's not that necessarily it was too obvious, but it's just that like it all connects together. So like the League has a lot of like it makes sense. It would be full of people gathering people together who want to change it, but also like don't ask too many questions. Overall, good. But we did get a few questions from people. We got a message from, or they just added us, from Yuriko at Lyry109. I'm sorry if I'm saying that. Lyry? Liry 109. Saying, replying to the last episode, I think Deku's phrase, I'm watching what Endeavor is doing now, you're not Endeavor, is in response to what Endeavor said at the Billboard chart show, Watch Me, after he became #1. So sorry, I think the line, I think that's right. It's like they're reading the Japanese version. What do you guys think?
I think that's a good callback. I mean, Endeavor did literally say, "Hey, watch him," and Deku was like, "Yeah, I am watching Endeavor." So, yeah.
I think it's a good combination of both when he told Endeavor, "Todoroki's not you," and then kind of also, I think it's also that as well, like the "watch me, I'm watching him." And they continue saying, I personally think his past is something we can let go of only because Shoto seems fine with Endeavor and recognizing and appreciating his father trying to change. If Endeavor gets thrown out, it kind of feels like we lost Dabi's evil plan. But I guess, like, Endeavor didn't do it because of Dabi. Like, he just did it and Dabi's exposing it. And I also just the fact that it's not just Shoto in that family makes me... Because, like, Rei, I want Rei to speak. Like, say words. Yeah. Like, we haven't heard her side, like, what to her perspective of what happened. And also, like, we have Natsu and Fuyumi, I think is her name, Winter. That, so I don't know, and I don't even know if Shoto is fine with Endeavor. Like, I think he's still mulling it over. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Todoroki respects Endeavor as a hero more now, but I think it's still very complicated, his feelings towards him as a son, considering their history, so... I mean, he does recognize Endeavor's trying to change, but he hasn't truly accepted him into his heart yet, you know. So I think it's still kind of rough for the Todoroki family there. And I don't think the past is something that can really get ignored. I think bringing it out in the open like this, I think Endeavor kind of being made accountable to the public now, in addition to trying to work things out in his private life, is an interesting move to see, like, is he going to be able to rehabilitate his reputation and public image? What can he do to do that and to gain the public's trust again? I think that's an interesting challenge that can't just be solved with, like, him having victories or stopping bad guys. Like, that's just something, like, personally he's got to prove that he's a changed person. Like, it's a human being. So, I mean, I'm very interested in, like, how the series is going to handle that going forward.
I do wonder if he might have to, like, work his way back up to the top again. Like, his ranking might plummet if there even still is rankings. And then he, like, earns back trust or something as well. Or also just stop being a hero for a little bit as well is kind of what I want. But I do get it. Like, it is kind of Dabi's plan to, like, make people lose faith in heroes. But I kind of like the idea we've brought up before or that you mentioned now is kind of like people finding a new faith in heroes, like a different kind of faith and like different kind of hero, and seeing how Endeavor has to change for that. And they do add, P.S. I'm not an Endeavor fan. I like Dobby more, and I completely understand if people feel like he's unforgivable. Just have been thinking about what Deku meant when he said, "You're not Endeavor. I love you all so much. Thank you, UA staff. Woo." And or Gary, did you have any thoughts? I don't, or do you no comment?
I feel like pretty much everything has been said. Like, I do agree with the thought that, like, not only does it have to do with Deku responding to that "watch me" during the Billboard chart, but also that he got to train with him a little bit, so he sees that he's putting effort in. So in his relationships with his family, obviously that doesn't mean, like, I do disagree with the thought that we can let go of what he did in the past, but that's kind of up to the individual if they're able to forgive. That doesn't mean that you necessarily forget what happened. So, but I am all about letting people learn from their mistakes. So it's, you know what I mean, that too. So yeah, that's kind of all I have to add. Nothing groundbreaking.
They do add, maybe there's a part of me that feels people should not be punished by their actions in the past, but they're interested in what everyone thinks on this. I think, they say OPP welcome, of course. I think that means opposing opinions. I'm not sure. But, yeah, I would say, like, I don't know. I feel like we almost need a whole I just want a flashback from Ray's perspective, because we've seen a bit of Endeavor's side, and we've seen the early life of it. And we've seen kind of Shoto's kind of, like, his perspective, like a bit of what he's seen, and then like getting punched in the stomach, basically, and then like his mom burning him. His face reminded her of Endeavor. But I kind of want to see Ray's side as well as like, and then we've heard Toya's side, but like I still, like, part of me still wonders if he is Toya, even though like he definitely is. So I don't know, and even that. Like, I don't want a flashback where it's like, oh, Endeavor was nice all along. Like, I don't think we're going to get that in a flashback, but I just, like, I want to try to, I don't know. How Toya died and why is something that, like, why was, I don't know. I have, like, my feeling on Endeavor is very mixed. Sometimes I hate him. Like, he is still, like, an interesting character, and he is trying. I don't know. I think it's fine if people like Endeavor. Dobby, I'm glad he's in a ball. He's cool, but I'm tired of him burning people. So he's getting a timeout.
Stop it before the flames fan you further.
Yes, the episode image is going to be Dobby in timeout. Unless I can think, because he's done enough for now. There's another hot man on the scene.
Yeah. Cool off a little bit for Dobby.
Yes, and then we got a reply on YouTube from Night Hunter saying, this is a comment, so Toya is, like, killing Shoto, and the podcast is like, and Toya saying, I'm trying to kill you to hurt our dad, and then the podcast, aka me, saying, I don't know, I think maybe he's not trying to kill him, and then it's them wheezing with laughter. Because I think I was thinking about how Dobby was talking about how he does, like, killing people does tear him up inside, but he, like, and how he, like, didn't manage to kill, oh my god, Spinny Girl. I think he was probably, he's probably, you're right to laugh. So I'm here for, sometimes I'm right, and a lot of the times I'm wrong. I've been right about one thing, hot compress. And
that's all you need to be right about, really.
Yeah, I'm not, I don't know. I joke about him being hot. I just think he's a cool character, but also he's hot, so forgive me.
I was just looking through tweets about Mr. Compress to see, like, people's reaction, and somebody said that Mr. and their name, I don't see what their name is. Dark Matinee. On Twitter, they say Mr. Compress is so sexy now because he always wore his mask properly.
And he looks like Sakuza from Haikyuu a little bit, just because of the hair. He just needs some moles. Maybe he compressed his moles away. Yeah, he would, like, if he ever had a tooth that hurt. Or, like, I wonder, like, if you get it, your quirk manifests when you're, like, 4. If he had, like, a loose tooth, he'd just be like, whoosha. Sorry, I just like thinking about the utilities of Compress's quirk, because it's just so cool. Maybe he compressed his eyebrows away, and that's why he's like that.
The applications are endless.
Yes! But that might be a good time to end it. But overall, really good chapter. Thank you, people, for sending it in. I appreciate the Endeavor messages as well. I don't know, I'm working out my feelings on him. I appreciate seeing other takes. But Lum, where can we find you?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It was a lot of fun. And yeah, you can find me at Momoriasha on Twitter. And it's Momoriasha on a variety of places like Animation Revelation, Animalist, wherever there's a Momoriasha, that's where you can find me. You can listen to the podcast I do, Manga Mavericks and Lum Squad. Those are basically on every podcast app you can think of. And we're also hosted on all-comic.com, where you can also read my manga reviews. We have a lot of books coming in, a lot of reviews set to go out, so definitely look forward to that stuff on there. And if you like the art I do for my podcast, Manga Mavericks and Lum Squad, you can check out my Instagram at SidArtWorks.
Nice. Oh, and this is off topic, but I just realized that Compress is hiding his nipples.
Oh my gosh.
Show us the nips. Sorry, Gary. Where can we find you?
He has an excuse then not to have nips. But then what is everyone else's? Why are they all nipless?
Yeah, like he doesn't, or Horikoshi doesn't normally draw nipples, I don't think.
No, but again, take a page out of some other mangaka's notebooks here. We want to see hair in men. We want to see men with nips. Can make it happen, Horikoshi.
I demand. Sorry, Gary, go ahead.
They'll introduce a character whose quirk is to like give men nipples and hair, body hair. Like that was something that was like missing in this world. Anyway. Okay, on that note, you can find me on Twitter at Wrath of Giraffes. You can also find me pretty regular. We're kind of on hiatus, but with at that one welder guy, James, on the Kicking Stones podcast, at Dr. Stone Pod on Twitter, and then also on the Weeb Jammin' podcast, where we review just kind of random anime every month, although we've been on hiatus on that for a little bit, but we're coming back soon. And you can follow them or us on Twitter at Jammin' Weeb.
Nice. And you can follow me, Kendra, on Twitter at Sniper of My Heart. And I do have another podcast where we talk about Haikyuu. You can follow that on Twitter at HaikyuuPod. And for this podcast, if you're a new listener, you can follow us on Twitter at MHAPod, email us at myheropod@gmail.com, or visit our website at www.mhapod.com. Send us your questions, comments, and theories, or let us know your nip thoughts, or whether or not we should let Dobby out of his jail. And I'm trying to think what I should say before we yell out, go beyond plus ultra.
Free the nip.
Free the nip!
Free the nip!
Go beyond plus ultra!
Plus ultra!
Yay! Well, Banks isn't on this week because Banks does it really loud. But thank you so much for coming on, and adios!
This is My Hero Academy, Plus Ultra. Manga, anime, news and more, Plus Ultra.